Hello, and welcome to the very first ever edition of GAMFT Live. It's not really live so much as it is about 8 months old, but, I mean, that's neither here nor there. The intention of this episode is to kind of have something a little bit different. The first thing I need to mention is the sound quality will not be its usual high self. That doesn't make any sense. The sound quality will not be its usual high quality sound. Because we recorded this back in the summer when Mark was visiting here in the great state of Utah. We went to see 2 films and recorded our thoughts after each of them. We watched Valerian and The City of 1,000 Planets and Atomic Blonde. So, coming up first is our discussion about Valerian. Yeah, it was pretty good, but I'll let us from the past talk about that right now.
We're rolling?
We're rolling.
Okay. Maloine! And welcome to our discussion of what we just saw, which
Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Of 1,000 planets.
Yes, 1,000 planets.
And 1,000 planets.
We are currently sat in a baking hot car in
So fucking hot.
Centerville, Utah. What's the temperature actually? 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So
It's 91 degrees and it fills every one of those.
whatever that is.
Shit, that's really hot.
The interior of my car is very dark, so it tends to get rather warm.
Warm.
Yeah. So, first impressions. What do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
mean, it had a few things that we'll get onto, no doubt.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed it. I was starting to well up even at the beginning.
Yeah.
When we had the little human.
The evolution, the progression thing.
What would you describe it? Like the realization of human ambition in space.
Yes.
When you have ground control to Major Tom playing over it.
I love that.
Which is not what that song's called at all. It's not called ground control.
It's called Space Odyssey.
No, it's called ground control to Major Tom.
Check brackets. Check ignition engine Tom.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just the whole lyrics of the time. It's like, come on, Dave. What are we doing? This is what we're doing, Tony. That was Tony.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know. Brian.
Brian. Brian Eno. I really liked it. I
thought it was great. I actually, particularly the things that really stuck out for me were the visual style. I mean, I love Luc Besson's previous kind of futuristic work, and it had definitely flavors of the Fifth Element in terms of the visual style. Particularly for me, the command centers and the uniforms of the brass. They kind of reminded me very much of the kind of higher up police folks and military folks in Fifth Element, just in kind of shape. I think it was pretty good looking. But yeah, I mean, I really like the way the movie looked. The concept is fascinating. Like you, I absolutely adored the intro. I thought the opening was very, very, very strong. The kind of the spoilers, of course. The handshake. You know, where it kept on coming in and there were different species and it's like, how do we shake hands? And first it was those kind of like blobby fish people and then,
I liked that for a while it was the same dude and he was just getting older and older.
Yeah, that was cool, yeah.
And then it was some other dude and then it was just, it seemed like they just, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Just send someone out to introduce themselves.
It's 100 years later at this point, so people, the one thing that came later in the film where they talked about Alpha, which is what I guess the International Space Station is eventually going to become.
Yeah.
That's the City of 1,000 Planets, they said it travelled 700 million miles. I'm curious to find out how far that is in, like, astronomical units, because that doesn't seem far enough to me.
Parsecs.
Parsecs, yeah.
We learned that from Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's a parsec.
It's a parsec,
It's not a parsec.
But I suppose, yes, strong things were definitely visual, some really fun characterization. Like I didn't catch the name of the species of the kidnap Laureline. They changed like pronunciations throughout.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the tall blobby ones that the bubble helps him get into. That face was like she's excited and trying to show the dresses. It was absolutely brilliant.
Like, do you want to stab me?
It was great.
Hey, I work for the government. If you want to avoid a diplomatic incident, you better let me go right now. Look, listen, I didn't come here to get a makeover. I need to leave. Do you understand?
And that was true for a lot of the CG. I find with like CG heavy films that sometimes they tend to kind of not imbue character into anything other than the human characters.
Fair.
And with this, it seemed like there was a deliberate effort made to make those CG only characters, or probably motion characters, really have character.
Giant.
Really have like some kind of.
Yeah, if anything, the least humanity it had sometimes was when it snapped back to that control room, and it was just people in front of plastic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you said the uniforms are kind of cool, but they looked a bit. They didn't seem particularly worn in.
No, they
like,
didn't. They didn't.
Felt
yeah,
very
true,
just made, and we shot it.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's fine.
But it's future fabric that never wears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is apart from when you shoot your sweet globby stuff all over it, and then you just get like a line of globby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For the rest of it. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, all the CGI guys and everything, everyone had. There was a lot of character to all of it. I mean, even from your dancing princess girl at the start.
Yeah, and that was actually my thought when that was going on was, I can kind of see why with this opening, this has underperformed somewhat, because it's pretty out there. Like she gets a handful of the pearls and like cleans herself with them, and she's got a little pet which becomes that key to the movie in terms of like that's the MacGuffin everyone's after. But what it reminded me of was like this is so far out there that even casual sci-fi folks are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm having a bit of a challenge with this.
Okay, that's fair actually. Because I was loving all that. I loved all
too.
the Grand Tom to Major Tom stuff. I loved all the bit on the planet. And then when the ship started crashing and the thing blew up and we went to like Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, like I was a bit like, oh yeah, no, just give me all of that. Give me a whole movie of this weird, like with languageless,
absolutely,
visual storytelling.
I could have done with another like 20 minutes of that, and I'd been perfectly happy. And you're right, I actually thought
it would have made no money.
I thought they were going to pull a Wonder Woman actually, and when the things were falling through the sky, like Valerian was going to be in one of them.
Oh really?
Like Chris Pine falling through the Themyscira kind of.
Yeah, okay, that could make sense.
The kind of, I suppose they were a bit Na'vi-ish, weren't they? The pearls.
There was a version of that was he was working on in like 2009 or something that he shelved because of Avatar.
Gotcha.
And then was like, all right, I need to rip it up. It's too close to Avatar.
Fair enough.
So, I could definitely see how as soon as Avatar comes out or he starts seeing stuff, Besson's just like, non.
Ne pas de Valerian for now.
Ne pas de Valerian. Pour la decade.
Before Jim Cameron has got his sequels out, that bastard.
Merde. Canard Jim Cameron. Is Canard duck or is
Duck, that's Duck, yeah.
Cunard Jim Cameron.
What's Cunard? Oh, okay.
It's kind of, you ordered a restaurant,
you
get that wrong.
Be really careful.
Cunard at the, no, was it?
Cunard de l'Orange?
Cunard de l'Orange. Like, don't order that.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, carry on.
But I thought that they were much more interesting than I expected them to be from their visual appearance at the start. I kind of thought they would be just kind of one-dimensional, but they seemed...
That's prejudice.
It is prejudice,
Prejudice, that's what the film's about. You don't understand, man.
Yeah. It's true. I don't understand. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Let me close this door. What's that light's going to stay on?
Oh, and well, I've got my engine on, so... Check ignitions, engine on.
Right. How do you want to...
What were the negatives for you?
Occasionally it was just, I just wanted them all to shut up.
Yeah.
It was fine until they opened their mouths and they were just so like, oh, this has got, just don't make it so clunky.
Right, it was like racy, action, furthering the plot. Oh, they've got to have a quippy scene together that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, and you occasionally have dialogue from either side that just feels like it's from different pages of the script.
It does, doesn't it?
Like,
yeah.
What was that
it's
one?
Like, why, what was that conversation about?
One at the end where it's like...
Only we can make this right.
Lorelaine, I'm a soldier. I play by the rules. It's what makes me who I am.
That's why I don't want to marry you, because you really don't know what love is.
Wait, what?
Well, and also he had just punched out his commanding officer.
And the whole
I'm a
thing is
soldier. You just smacked the leader, the leader of Alpha in the face. So, and all of a sudden you're duty bound.
Yeah.
Surely you wouldn't have hit him if that was the
Took
case.
my oath. It's like, you didn't even read the memo. Big
Yeah.
market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Big market. That guy was great.
He was amazing.
He was just like, he had his performance chops turned up to 11.
Yeah.
It was great. It was massive turban.
Yeah, him and the sea captain guy. You were
Yeah, the sea captain guy was fun. Yeah, he's kind of he wasn't in it for very long.
slightly
but
drunk French kind of guy.
I like the fact that they put like a mini bottle of champagne in like a clamp on the end of a wire, and it went over there, and he smashed the top off and just like fired it into his face. It was amazing.
Most of it was completely wasted.
Yeah, it was completely wasted.
And
but
he's just
it was-
like, hello.
it's all in his beard. Yeah, bonjour. So yeah, I mean, overall, the tone of this is it was definitely a fun film, but it was.
Takes you on a hell of a journey, actually. From
It does. It felt kind of long, which I don't know if it's a negative or a positive, or it could be indifferent. But it felt its length to me.
Really? How long was it? Because we came out. It was 2:30 odd, wasn't it? We came out.
Yeah.
What time did we go in?
We went in at 12:05.
So 2 hours and a bit.
Yeah,
Once
2
we
hours
cut
and a
the
bit,
ads
yeah.
and stuff. So I don't know that I felt the length of it compared to some things, but. Because I was enjoying it, but it was the roller coaster movie. It was like, okay, we've done a little bit of that. Now we'll go to the big things like fishing with butterflies.
Yeah.
Oh, now we'll go to the sex bit. Now,
Yeah.
now we're back in. Now we're in mission control again, and then we'll go under the water, and then
It did, and when they first
and
get
1,000 planets.
when they first get to the city of 1,000 planets, there's that kind of expositional scene that the computer does that explains it to you, and that felt like.
Do you want to get us up to date? Do you want to do an exposition dump? Yeah.
Yeah, what it felt like to me was like a cutscene in a video game.
Yeah, that's fair.
where you're arriving, that you've done your first mission off planet,
Yeah.
and then you get into where you're supposed to go, and it's
Yeah.
just telling you everything you need to know about it. And the fish live over here, and the gassy people live over here, and
Here's a little shot of like some gold dudes who seem
Yeah.
to be working little techno plates or
yeah.
whatever.
And there was one thing about the technology in the movie. There seemed to be a shit ton of wires and everything.
I did think that.
I like that,
when
but-
what was the lad at the end where the general dude
Oh,
hated and he
yeah.
was telling the other dude, "You do it,
Yeah, you do it. Yeah, hey, disposable Asian man,
Yeah.
go and get shot for me.
Yeah, and he ripped the back of the thing off.
Full of wires. Yeah.
and PCBs and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
well, 400 years later, a PCB looks the same.
I know, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then there was like a plate that looked kind of like
Yeah,
it was
like an
optical storage.
glass iPad thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a bit of a sci-fi trope. One of the things I did like about the visual style of the technology was there was a point where they were tracking Valerian from the control room, and he was just like a little dot on a screen.
Oh,
And he kind of turned at right angles and stuff, and I was like, I quite like that.
like beep, 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 beep.
Exactly.
Waka, waka,
Just get a
waka,
little
waka.
bit of Pac-Man. Exactly. I thought I quite like that. That's because it seems like most movies that are set that far in the future now would be like holographic projection
Yeah, that's fair.
of something. So
Well, there was so much now in it because, like, why would Big Market use kind of school buses, yellow American school
yellow
buses?
American school buses and helmets as well.
Yeah,
You know.
like they won the one, and the guy with his earphones, he had the big kind of
big,
beats on it or whatever.
Yeah, with
The little whoop, random.
blue.
But they rock up there, and it wasn't just like, okay, they're in a bus, that's fine. And then they got there, and there was just like 800
There
other
was a shit
buses.
ton of them,
Like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then you just think it's like, well,
Is it a gimmick?
yeah, Luc
Yeah.
Besson thought it was cool.
Yeah, Luc Besson thought it was cool, and maybe Big Market thinks like
Big
it's retro.
Market!
Big Market thinks it's delightfully retro or something. You know.
Yeah, I suppose. It's hipster.
It's hipster. Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
400 years from now, it's like, oh, it's so old.
Yeah, look at this. It's so old. No one knows about it. Me.
Big Market.
But yeah, Big Market. But I think the bits that took me out of it were they tried to do quite a lot of quippy dialogue between Valerian and her name's Eponine.
Cara Delevingne.
Cara
Oh,
Delevingne.
Lorelei.
And
Lorelei. Whatever.
Lorelei. It's got an N at the end. I noticed.
Oh.
And it just didn't seem to work. I don't know whether it was poor acting, poor directing, poor script, but whenever they were doing the stuff from the very first scene, that was the stuff that kind of made me go spin on. And it wasn't
Yeah.
that I wanted to get to action, it's that I just didn't think that was particularly well done, and
Well,
their characters didn't...
I never got where the line was drawn between snarky, quippy, snarky, snark
Yeah.
and genuine, I love you, let's get married.
Right, and that could be due to flat performances. Like the Valerian guy, his voice bugged me. It sounds like he's putting it on.
Oh, you talk like this.
Yeah, it just kind of doesn't sound like it naturally fits him, because he's got that slightly boyish feature.
Well, he looked like a haggard boy.
He did look like a haggard boy.
Haggard. And what was the bit where someone said something to him, and I was just like, really? You gonna say he's that? Like, I can't remember what he said. I think it was early on when he was boasting, like they were boasting about conquests. He was saying about different things, and it was kind of like a lover and fighter style comment. And like, we all know that you're the world's greatest, the universe's greatest lover and fighter, or whatever. It's just like, really, we're gonna say that about the little skinny weedy guy with his giant haggard face.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just a bit. I think it could have done with some slightly better performances. I thought Cara Delevingne was pretty good, a little bit flat at times, but decent enough, you know.
I thought both of them were decent enough.
Yeah,
but then they were outperformed by the things around them. Mm-hmm. So, but they kind of made you like, they were outperformed by that lady and Big Market.
Yeah,
and but you'd occasionally get sort of because it was almost kind of like, okay, so we're making this B movie. And they're fine for like sci-fi B movies.
Sure.
And then everything else is so heightened. It's like Oscar-winning visual effects and everything, and the world realization is so good because you've got those like Oscar-winning visual effects.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And even like Clive Owen can sometimes be not the world's most emotive actor. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who the slightly grizzled man who wasn't Jason Fleming.
Yeah, I don't know who he was, but he's pretty decent, but not great.
Yeah.
But again, it's all kind of, it feels a bit like also Rans a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
And but only in comparison to their surroundings. I think that's a good observation. And you're right, because I mean Luc Besson for me is so good at that visual world building. There was that fly through of Big Market at the start when you kind of went. You broke away from the little tourist group.
Yeah,
you flew through and went down like multiple layers, and that was very Fifth Element to me. And that's the strongest stuff in Fifth Element, aside from things like the Dallas Multipass, is that visual gorgeousness of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of his style, and the costume design was great. I love the costumes in this. I thought it was really cool looking stuff. I loved the guy's hat and she mentioned it even when they first meet the
his big helmet thing.
Big old,
I thought he was going to pull the
it down. I did too. It was like some kind of hollow screen or something.
Or no, I thought it was going to be. They were all getting those hats as they went into Big Market.
Yeah,
And I thought he was going to have like his homemade gimmick one to go in as a mercenary. Like, you couldn't get the little tight those ones. But you could get your homemade deal. But then the other guy had his big one where he was controlling the
dude up there
with his dart in him, and he kept doing this.
He was like shaking his hand like he's firing the gun.
Yeah, and then he did it again because he was controlling the one on the top of the
roof.
Bus,
I kind of didn't like how they were just all completely disposable to Valerian and
they did just leave them to die.
They did. They just kind of crawled out and jumped onto the ship, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys."
Yeah. And then that dog as well. I mean, dog, whatever it is, Beast.
Beast.
And he's going to die because they just cut away from him falling back. And I wonder whether they were going to give him like a Looney Tunes.
I was kind of thinking like a Wile E. Coyote puff.
He looked like he was going to fall onto like solid rock, so he was just going to splat.
He was done for. Yeah, absolutely. And did you notice he had a little piece of her dress on his claw?
Yeah, because he looked at it just before he fell. Because I wondered if that was going to be a thing. Because story structure, the guy was like, I'm going to find you. Mm-hmm. Wherever you go in the universe, I'll find you. I thought maybe he was going to show up at the end, but he never did. No. And I wondered if the little rag was going to be like so the dog can find Cara Delevingne, so...
He finds it in like the mangled corpse that's fallen like 80,000 feet, and he's like, it sounded like John Goodman.
It did sound like John Goodman.
Yeah, we'll use this to track them down.
Blood-covered rag.
Exactly,
We'll totally somehow find Cara Delevingne.
With all the technology we have in the universe, we'll use a piece of torn cloth.
Yeah. No, it was weird that they didn't show up, but maybe you could... there's nothing saying sequel, Jabba the Hutt,
Yeah, exactly.
So, it'll be frozen in carbonite by the third one.
He did kind of have a bit of a Jabba feeling to him, didn't he?
Yeah. That makes me think, actually, because I was wondering, just if you didn't do Dane DeHaan, like if there could have been someone who could have portrayed that roguish one kind of better. Mm. Like, I was just trying to think who could have been. It probably would be like 70s Harrison Ford, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it probably would.
Like, if you're trying to go for that, like, Han Solo type thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of who could do that these days. Everyone's so baby-faced.
Chris Pratt already does it somewhere else.
So he does.
You're not going to get him.
No.
But anyway, Dane DeHaan's fine because it's kind of an interesting. It's different. It's not your big sort of 6'2" kind of
muscle guy. Is he? No.
But they were outperformed. Both of them, to an extent, were outperformed by their what was around them a lot of the time, which was a bit of a shame.
It was. It was. But overall, great experience. I thought it was...
Did it live up to your expectations? Because this is on Super Pump Day. This was the one you were super pumped about.
It actually did. Yeah, I was. A little bit of the shine was taken off it by those kind of clunky, like stopping, like,
We didn't see it in D-Box.
progress stopping scenes of dialogue between
Okay,
those
yeah,
two that just didn't seem to work for me for some
Well,
reason.
there was a bit where they were climbing across that giant pipe thing.
Yeah.
And they stopped on the
On the
precarious
pipe,
giant
yeah,
pipe to have a
yeah.
little debate about whatever it was.
Mhm.
It's just like, just stop talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop talking.
And it's not like I want just action, but when you've got those moments, you know,
There's a lot that you could have just done
Yeah,
visually, and
yeah.
for such a visualist, I'm surprised that. But maybe there was a bit of a kind of like, you know, we're not making a silent movie kind of bit, so you've got to throw more words into it. Kind of
Yeah, it could be.
here and there, just to try and carry off some of it. Because, like, okay, so very early on, I thought, because hang on a minute, what am I trying to ask here? What did you make of the reveal of Colin Farrell? What's his real name?
Clive Owen.
Clive Owen. The reveal of Colin Farrell to be the bad guy all along. Because I thought that from the very beginning, and I just thought it was... Everyone knows...
It was so clear. He's got his, what were they called, like, K-bots or whatever? Yeah.
I was
K-trons.
so waiting... K-trons. I was waiting for... They had the little light, and I was like, when they go
It's
evil,
gotta
they better
go-
go
it's gotta
red.
go red,
And it
absolutely.
went,
And it did.
ding! And I was
Yeah.
like, yes!
That was fantastic. Yeah, the second you saw him, and he's got a
Torturing
stupid
the
big
fucking-
metal thing on, he's torturing the pearl and stuff. It's the upside down elf. You know,
Clearly he was the bad guy, the upside down elf.
he was. Yeah, it was quite clear, and yeah, because they did that thing where it was the flashback scene to when they're having the fight over what's it called, Mule.
Yeah.
And then there's
They
a
don't- they
pull
intentionally
around.
don't show
They
it.
intentionally don't, and of course it's him.
Yeah, but so...
A, it sounds like him, and B, it's him.
For most of the film, I thought it was just that, you know, you all knew he was the bad guy,
Yeah.
but they didn't. They thought they were on a mission to rescue the commander,
Yeah.
or whatever, a general, and then all of a sudden it's trying to pull off this like, oh, but he's the bad guy all along. It's like he was fucking torturing someone. At the
Yeah,
start.
it's-
It was really strange because I thought that
Yeah, I did feel like it.
the line of it was going one way, but maybe it was just there just in case you hadn't or you'd forgotten. Like that was the through line of it. It was strange to then try and pull a rug from under you and make him the maniac when you kind of thought he was from the very beginning. Because like not even just the torturing, but when he turns to the K-bots,
K-trons.
K-marts, and goes, you know what to do, right? Just kill them all.
Yeah,
He basically
yeah.
didn't say that. He didn't say kill them all.
Yeah,
Well,
but pretty
when
much.
the time comes, just
You know what to do?
kill them all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I did wonder whether the K-bots the Go-bots had killed all the original, because they said they sent in a first mission down there and they'd lost them all.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether the Go-bots had done all that as well,
Quite
like
possibly,
just
yeah.
murderized all
Yeah.
the first squad. So but it was a bit odd story-wise to do that, because I thought it was doing something really interesting and kind of new, where you knew who the bad guy was from the very beginning.
Then we're going to subvert it or
but
something.
other characters didn't. No, just follow that line through.
Oh, okay. I see. I thought what they were
The
gonna
other
maybe-
characters have to realise what the audience already
Right,
knows,
right.
because it's not...
It's like Murder, She Wrote, when you know who the murderer is, but Angela Lansbury's got to figure it
Yeah, or
out.
Columbo has to figure it
Yeah,
out. Or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, it's Columbo in space.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all I want.
Colombian. Columbo.
Columbo.
And this. But yeah, so what I was thinking, because I thought, well, that's too obvious, and I think they know it. Because there's a reason that they're being sent with him as his protection, it's because he's not trusted. So I thought, well, but maybe there's going to be a conspiracy within the Human Federation or something like that, and that's going to be exposed toward the end. And he's just a pawn, P-A-W-N, of theirs.
I don't want Clive Owen porn.
No, thanks. He's just their useful idiot, and they'll sacrifice him in the end because they're going to get what they want, which is something, some unknown power that the pearls have or something. So yeah, I was trying to call it, but then I was just like, don't bother with that because it's probably
Yeah, don't get ahead of it. You're just
Yeah.
a loser. Well, did you get that? The ship they ran to.
Yeah.
Did you get that was an Earth ship?
Yes.
Yeah. So I got.
Yeah, they called it like something 2005. So this was like.
Oh no, the ship that the pearls ran to at the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
Because they ran to that thing, and then the door handle broke
uh-huh.
off, and then the princess had to die.
Yeah.
And they ran something. It said D23, which caught my eye because that's Disney's
Oh, it
expo
is.
thing,
Yeah,
and
it
I
is.
was like, oh, that's a little fuck you to Disney.
Yeah.
And then
It's
later,
just a wreck on.
yeah. Or maybe Disney didn't want anything to do with Valerian or something. I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
And they're just like, right, we'll show you Disney with our $30 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
But so they run into that, and then later one of those rocks up at Valerian. Not at Valerian.
But Alpha. Yeah.
Alpha.
Yeah.
I'm going to just repeatedly call it Valerian.
Okay.
That's going to happen from now. So one of those rocks up, and I was like, huh. So that was an Earth ship on the planet, and I was like, okay, so it's like Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Earth is actually the aggressor.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so maybe they were trying to wipe them out for their tech, but it was just a separate war.
It's just a battle that was going on
It seemed to be
over their
against the
planet for
shadows
some reason.
from Babylon 5.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
With
Yeah.
those giant, like, spider ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you can overanalyze these things too much. It's like, well, why in the vastness of space would they be having a fight over this planet?
It's just where they end up, I suppose.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They just fight there because they fight there.
Right. Yeah.
That's. I mean, I didn't even think about that.
No.
Really. It was just kind of that was where they and then just near a planet.
Sure.
I didn't the bit where the guy showed up. And it's just like, you knew it was inhabited, and the flashback's like, it's inhabited.
Yeah,
The guy
that was
walks
ridiculous. I
up,
noticed you laughed at that point. It was kind of like
that was another little B movie.
it's like a South Park moment or something, you know.
It's inhabited.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that was the guy they talked about being murdered at the start until they showed him. being
Yeah,
murdered
it's like
again.
I would think he was murdered. Just cuts to a shot of him shot in the head.
Yeah, POV gun
Yeah.
cam shot.
Yeah, those little. I thought they were kind of like the which Disney movie is it where they've got the vultures? And they're like,
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book. Yeah, they kind of reminded me of the Jungle Book vultures.
Yeah. Don't start that again. Hello, lads.
What we're gonna do?
What we're gonna do?
Yeah, they kind of.
It's inhabited.
Yeah.
Fire the missiles. Bloody well fire. So kill them all. K-bots.
K-bots. K-trons.
K-trons.
Go-bots. Go-bots. K-bots. There was a bit of, and I think this is probably the nature of mostly Besson productions. The like comedy relief couple at the start who were at Big Market.
Yeah.
At the start, they seemed to be like American Tourist kind of analogues.
Right.
And then when she was getting the stuff, she was like, "I don't know what you're
The horn. Honk, honk.
Yeah. Oh, I love this bloody horn." It's like.
You got no culture. You don't know what a fine antique is. And it just had. Did you notice it had like just a little bit of glistening
exactly.
tassel on it?
Yeah, it was complete tat.
It's just like someone went to Luke Besson and they're like, we haven't figured out what the thing she's going to have.
Is just gonna like on.
I don't know. Just use this.
Just happened to be sitting next to him.
Dress this up a little bit.
Put tinsel ribbon is done.
Yeah, that's fine. He's just some tat.
Or like they just kind of gave it to us to hold just as a placeholder where they got the real prop.
Yeah, we're gonna CG something in. Don't worry about it. Honk, honk.
Let's imagine like someone with like those magnifying glasses on and a soldering iron trying to put something together while they're shooting the scene, and they're like, okay, cut, Brent.
Yeah, we've done it. Moving on.
Oh, but that makes this pretty thing.
Yeah, we'll use it in something else. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Luke Besson's got the horn for the whole rest of the shoot. He's just like, anytime someone says anything he doesn't like, honk, honk, honk. Oh no, we must do another one. Honk, honk. No.
No.
Honk, honk. Honk, honk.
Cleve, could you do this again? Honk. Cleve Owen. Cleve. I just imagine he got some cleave.
Cleve Owen. Right. Fuck. What was I going to ask? Will it find an audience, do you think, in time?
I hope so.
Yeah? Because obviously it's not found one right now.
No, in the same way as the Fifth Element has, I think it might. Because I kind of feel like the Fifth Element didn't perform too well at the box office, but now
I can't remember.
a lot of people own it or like, oh, that was fun.
Well regarded.
Saw it on TV,
yeah.
that sort of thing. So maybe it'll be a slow burn type recognition for it.
Yeah.
My only concern is that the performances that I didn't enjoy might turn people off.
Okay.
For those of us who like enjoy really high kind of sci-fi, where it's just out there concepts, the visual style of it appeals to me, and that's why I'd watch it again.
How does it, as a fan of sci-fi, how does it, like, where does it sit? Is it a confection, or is it? Do you feel it can punch above its weight, or?
I want it to be able to punch above its weight, but I worry that the kind of the weaknesses of the stuff we've talked about might preclude it from doing so. Okay. And it's kind of sits in mid-tier kind of iRobot territory, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. So it's
yeah.
just wow, okay, yeah.
Which is a shame because I mean I love the way it looks, and yeah, I really wanted it to be the start of something, maybe a series of movies, but I just worry that the weakness of those performances won't allow that to happen, and its poor performance, of course.
Yeah,
But it could be too out there, I just think I'm thinking of people who I know who aren't necessarily sci-fi fans, but will go to kind of sci-fi light type stuff like Guardians.
Okay.
Which I mean, I suppose visual style-wise, they're not a million miles away from one another.
No.
This is darker, definitely more gritty in certain respects.
Which is funny, considering the world that Guardians pretends to portray is actually quite a violent,
it is quite a violent,
dark
gritty
world.
it
That
is.
probably had more of that going on than
It did.
Guardians did. What was it? Was that PG-13 or not?
I think it was a PG-13.
I think it must have been. I don't remember anyone yelling "fuck" really loud at any point.
No, there's none of that. So I would like to have seen a bit more exploration into the kind of non-humanoid parts of Alpha.
Yeah, you could. Well, you could take it that way, couldn't you? You could.
He just kind of ran through it when he was doing the chase.
Yeah, just I'm going to run through all these walls. I'm going to smash different people's houses.
I know. I like how he went through, like he was going through water, and he smashed out of wall into not water, and I just thought, how are they going to plug that hole?
Yeah, no, I thought that they've just drowned everyone in there.
Yeah.
Not drowned. People don't drown in water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Opposite drowned.
The opposite
They've
drowned.
opposite drowned
They've
everyone.
anti-drowned them.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Well, no, but there was like a little noise. I imagine like some
It's
little
like
force field came up or something.
That's
there
what
was
I
when he came
retconned
out. There
with
was
as well.
something.
They didn't show it, but
there was a sound, and I was like, that sound just covers whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, the world building in it's great. I have not read enough to know whether there's a chance of another one. Like how it's. I mean, certainly it's not made much money here. I don't think. Back in, I was about to say back in Worcester, but back in the UK, it's made much money. Europe generally, but it might find an audience somewhere.
I hope so.
I mean, it's a big, essentially French movie. I hope people in France are kind of going like,
Allez,
yeah, rather.
allez,
than
Luc.
No, good.
It's okay.
It is the share de your romantic comedy. It's even faster. It's just like Jabba in the Star Wars A Jabba story. Will be zero temperature.
Yeah. Just wearing a Vladimir Putin T-shirt.
Oh dear. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll see another one in a hurry.
I don't think
But this
so.
was packaged quite interestingly. And everything I've read about it means that they just because they sold all the distribution and stuff and piecemealed it out before they even made it to make the money.
Gotcha.
That it was one of those flicks that was almost in profit before it.
Oh really?
was essentially made or finished. And so I don't know that anyone's going to lose a lot of money on it.
Good.
But I don't think anyone's really going to
be pumped for
another one.
For like, getting behind the idea of pitching another one.
Yeah, no studio's going to race in and be just like, yes!
More Valerians, please!
Take all our money!
But I suppose a reference picture I have for that is
timey reference picture.
Pitch Black.
Okay.
So Pitch Black was in a similar sort of position, I get the feeling. I don't know how
a lot
much
cheaper.
Oh yeah, that's true, but I don't know how much money it made.
It made quite a lot for what it cost.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong then. Okay, I'm just thinking
But no,
because
I
it was
see
a
what
long
you
time
mean,
between Pitch Black and
the first
one. Yeah, the Chronicles of Wrong Dick. That didn't come out like I expected it to.
That sounds like a dirty, like black and white comic strip.
The Chronicles of Wrong Dick.
Giant penis with like goggles and a white beater going around Chronicles of Wrong Dick. And just like the kind of thing that you'd hand around in school. Like,
Check out Wrong Dick.
It's like in the back of his.
Got a nice Wrong Dick on.
Yeah. Someone would have a T-shirt of it and they'd be made to go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like put on a T-shirt from their lost property.
Yeah. Oh no! Like
it's like 3 inches too short, and bright orange and crispy.
It's for an Olympics that never happened.
It was the Olympic bid for like Huddersfield in
Paris,
1972.
Paris 2012 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh no! Huddersfield 1972. Huddersfield 1972.
It's like a really ambitious plot by the mayor of Huddersfield at the time.
We could get it. I'll tell you now, we're gonna get it.
We'll build stadium there. You'll see that Pele over here.
We can do some of it in Barrisfield. Be all right. Weta and ILM?
Weta and ILM and a bunch of assorted other smaller visual effects companies. That's a lot. I mean, I suppose with a film that is this heavily CG, you've got to shop around, I guess.
Do you think that having Weta and ILM and probably being able to see each other's stuff, because they're probably doing elements on multiple shots, do you think that raises everyone's game?
Yes.
Just the competition element.
Yeah,
we've got to make ours better than make those, which is why it looks as good as it does.
And it does look phenomenal.
It really does.
I would. It's one of the few things I would like to see again in 3D.
It would be interesting to see it in 3D.
Just to see what it's like. So we saw it in 2D, so...
Yes.
I think you're right. I think when the Weta guys get the ILM elements...
Yeah, they're going to be like, shit!
Okay, that looks really good, we've got to up our game. It's bound to. And then the little guys are probably just doing, bits here and there and textures and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably,
I'd be interested to see if they... Like, I forget which film I read that did this, or maybe I thought someone did it, and I was like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
But the idea of, like, giving different worlds to different visual effects companies.
Oh, interesting. So, like, give the
so maybe Weta did all the Pearl stuff.
Sure.
And then, all the human stuff's done by...
ILM.
Yeah, and like, that kind of stuff. Like, maybe, I don't know, I'd be interested to see how it mixed and matched like that.
Yeah.
If stuff's been written about it.
Or if there's some interesting extras on the Blu-ray.
Do you think there's a chance of a Best Visual Effects Oscar nod for it?
I hope so.
I would bloody hope so.
I think it's fantastic enough to warrant at least a nod.
Yeah.
At least a nom, as it were.
Yeah, but I don't know what else would be in that bracket this year.
I mean, there's
Wonder Woman's Guardians 2.
Yeah, Guardians 2 was very pretty. Do I dare say Transformers?
Transformers, maybe. I mean, there's a shit ton of work happening in
absolutely
it. There must be other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head right now.
Would something as subtle as Dunkirk?
See, I don't know. I mean, there are visual effects
clearly
happening in there, but I don't know that it would help the mystique of Christopher Nolan's process to push it for one.
Fair enough.
Because the idea is, like, it's all practical, it's all 70mm, it's all live, it's all in camera.
Yeah.
There's clearly visual effects.
Of course,
yeah.
You can't crash a real Spitfire into the sea without visual effects, right?
I think they did.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean,
a mock-up of the Spitfire, reproduction.
Sure. I mean, they're not going to be
like real 70-year-old Spitfires.
I think there's some model work happening there. I think there's some real stuff. I think
there's a little bouncy bit that just made me go CG.
Really?
There's a little bouncy bit in that.
Because there's a bit where it in the set we haven't really done Dunkirk on this, but we both liked it.
We did.
I had some mechanical problems with it, but there's a bit where the second time it crashes, when you see it point of view, that was in 70mm. So whatever they crashed had a 70mm camera bolted to it. Wow. Or 65 bolted to it.
But is there a chance it was on a crane over a pool?
I know. I think they probably just built a bloody Spitfire they could crash.
Wow.
And they just plowed it into the ocean because the water. You get that, like, it's always in like 70s, 80s movies where you have the miniature version of the set that they blow up at the end, kind of thing. And anytime water's involved, it looks miniature.
Yeah, you can tell.
You can
almost
feel
see the water molecules. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just the moment.
Same with fire.
Same with fire. Sometimes, it's just too big or matches.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any of that, like, especially on the biggest ways I saw it. Like, it looked scaled properly. Mm-hmm. So it's either big models or they just full size and plan it to the sea.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
I would like to see, because I think the visual effects stuff is probably more like what was in the Batmans, where it's just tiny little bits of cleanup.
Sure.
And it's tiny little bits of, like, let's map that out, let's put that out, because the layout of that seafront is going to be a lot more modern now, so you're going to have to go in and just paint out cell phone towers.
That was actually the thing that I noticed in that made me go, oh! It was jarring in Dunkirk. When
the gherkin.
When our silent man first gets to the beachfront, he's walking along, and he's kind of on the promenade, and in the background you've got buildings and stuff, and there's several big modern streetlights.
Oh, was there really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
and I was like, oh, wait, that doesn't seem right. And I was like, surely because it wasn't like it was a 3-minute shot or something. It was maybe a few seconds. That would be the kind of thing that I think they would
just
take
go in and tidy up.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
They would, like, clearly modern,
Wow, no, I didn't notice those, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I would expect him to clean up, because I know they took out street names and things in Batman, so they could sort of tie different shots in different cities together. So they took out, like, it's a name of a street in Pittsburgh, let's just rip it out.
Gotcha.
And signs and things like that. That's the kind of level where he does that.
He excels generally, yeah.
Yeah, because everything else he'll try and do practically, because he's got that mystique of being such a practical filmmaker.
Sure.
Yeah. I just have interest on Dunkirk. At the end, when there was the old man, it's like, well done.
Yeah.
Was
blind guy?
I thought he was blind.
Yeah.
And then the other guy was like, he wouldn't look at us.
He didn't get it. That was the point, I think.
That's
I think the point was, like, the one guy because he'd walked past and he hadn't done the face thing.
Yeah, he did it to the.
He did it to the next guy, and I think the whole point was you interpret it how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thing is, I don't, because I try and take the whole scope of potential.
Yeah.
Potential
inference.
Yeah, from it, and then I'm just like, so what was the intent of the filmmaker there? And because I was wondering about it, it's just like if he's not blind, he just touching boys' faces.
Touching boys' faces. It's just his thing.
But I took it as blind because in my head I was just kind of like, okay, so there's probably a backstory where this guy was in the first one.
Sure.
You know, and he's been through this shit. And
It's
he
like
knows how bad it
Starship
is.
Troopers. All of the older generation is slightly maimed.
Slightly made.
You know.
And very belligerent.
Yeah.
And this guy's just
and
handing out
keen on war.
soup and towels.
Yeah.
Keen on war.
Yeah.
But yeah. Back to Valerian.
Yes.
Well, I think we're done on Valerian.
I think we're done with Valerian. Yeah. What else is there to say, really? I mean, it's I very much enjoyed it.
I think it's a shame that it hasn't made more money.
I think it is. Yeah. I don't think it's for everyone. Like I said, people who I know who tolerate some sci-fi, particularly the Marvel stuff,
Okay.
would balk at some of the, especially the opening. I mean, not actually. Once you get onto
Because it's less
Mule.
spoon-fed.
yeah, once you get onto Mule, well, it's also like why are they using? Why is she bathing in balls? You know.
Right. I liked all that.
I loved it
Yeah.
too, but the people that I know who are less sci-fi keen would be
Yeah.
like, that's too out there.
Oh, she's standing pretty and she's got balls all over her face.
I don't come to see this film.
Yeah. Fucking wrong criticals of wrong dick.
Chronicles of Wrong Dick. Yeah,
So I think it's probably destined to be a cult thing.
I agree.
It seemed to live up, at least visually, to your
did,
expectations.
yeah.
So I'm glad about that, considering this day could have gone very wrong in terms of that. Still
Already
could
halfway through.
Could go wrong. I'm so pumped about Atomic Blonde, and I'm probably going to be so disappointed in another couple of hours.
D-Box.
D-Box. Oh yeah, we are seeing in D-Box office.
We just did the sample D-Box thing in the lobby, which had I wish I'd taken a picture of it. I might take a picture on the way back.
Yeah.
That had the Windows taskbar at the bottom and a big start button, and
nice.
waiting to
Yeah,
apply
yeah,
Windows updates. So
I get the impression that I'm going to be giggly about that for a while, and then I'll probably just turn it off.
yeah,
So, but we'll see how I keep it on.
Okay.
If not, I'm just going to be like, yeah.
we're gonna go eat lunch and then get shaken around in a dark room for 2 hours.
Oh, so
yeah.
rich. Let's go have Mexican.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
See you in an hour. 2 hours. Whatever.
So that was our discussion about Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you watched the film. I believe it's on Netflix now on all of the, at least in the UK and the US, because I think it is. Yep, that's right. I think it is. So watch it. Maybe even buy it on DVD or Blu-ray or video cassette. Don't think it's available on video. But coming up now is a discussion about Atomic Blonde, which we went to see after Valerian, following a spot of lunch. And we actually did the D-Box, which is, if you're not familiar, the motion linked to the images on screen deal. But yeah, we'll talk about Atomic Blonde now. Alright, we're on the air. Do you want to intro this one?
No, go for it.
Alright. Okay, we are just leaving the Megaplex in Centerville, Utah again. After seeing Atomic Blonde in fabulous D-Box office. So what do you think, sir?
I bloody loved it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. It was everything I wanted it to be, but it wasn't everything I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And because of that, I liked that it surprised me. With what I thought was going to be more of a rampage of action, but it actually had slower, more meaningful. Well, not meaningful, but like slower.
There was some, the dialogue scenes in there that like furthered the plot, but didn't seem, unlike Valerian in some respects, didn't seem as kind of jarringly like stop and expose.
We've stopped the movie for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it did. Did you notice the old D-Box? To comment on that briefly.
Yeah, we'll definitely. We've got to do D-Box reviews.
Okay, no, all right, we'll leave that for now. What did you make of it? Go.
I really, it was really good. That was fantastic. What it kind of felt like was a decent kind of old-fashioned action movie, in that it was quite gratuitously violent.
It really was.
Which isn't for everyone, but I have it's a trend I noticed starting in the mid-2000s that action movies just kind of started being quite sanitized.
Very bloodless.
But very
Which this-
bloodless,
which
exactly.
this was not.
No, not even a little bit. No, it's extremely bloody. And the one thing that I noticed, and maybe we'll get onto this a bit later on, is in the, obviously spoilers, in the main, like the big action fight scene towards the end of the movie, where the guy's taping himself up and everything. Yeah, it's like brown parcel tape. No music in the fight scenes, just natural sound. And it exposed a couple of things that I was like, oh, acting, but only a couple of times. For the most part, it was just very believable, very visceral, and did make me kind of squirm a few times.
I know it's just good. I wonder whether you weren't actually that into it.
No, I was really into it, but there were just a couple of moments where things happened, and I was like, you know, that is probably what would really happen in a situation like this. And it was very, very visceral.
On that scene, did you
So
notice?
I was just into it, you know, that's all it was.
Good. No, that's good.
Yeah.
'Cause, what, any effect?
Yeah.
When in that scene, did you notice when the one shot take started? I noticed in media res as it was happening, and I noticed when it ended. But I did not notice when it started.
No.
At some point, that became one shot, and it ended when they flipped that other car on the street. I think it was probably supposed to end when they got knocked in the river.
You see, I was thinking in that scene, though, I thought there were some clever cuts in it.
Oh, there was loads of cuts, because
Okay.
I mean, obviously in the car with it spinning around them. And
Well, and
whatnot.
even in the fight scene with Blondie Man with the black stubble, you know, there was some spins, and that was like clever
It
cuts.
kind of
for
ran
cuts.
past them and stuff. There were loads of hidden cuts in it, but it was presented as
That's one shot.
Yeah, and I don't know when that started. Whether it started on the stairs
That's
before they
where
even
I'm
got in the
thinking.
apartment.
I'm thinking it started on the stairs when she's like, stay here, and she gets in the elevator.
Really, as early as that?
Yeah.
It might have done. If it did, that's I really didn't notice until much later.
No.
But
Because
it could have been.
well, I mean, what makes me think that is they really followed her into the elevator and did everything.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like press button, open doors or anything like that. It was like follow her into the elevator, press
So
the button.
that whole fight was
she goes
essentially
up
one
in it.
piece.
And I was a bit disappointed in the D-box at that point because I wanted the elevator to kind of go.
Yeah.
There were a few moments, missed D-box moments.
Yes. Well, there was a lot. I mean, even. This is let's get into D-box.
Let's get into D-box.
It was like it started hot and heavy. Like even the fridge slamming was one.
Yeah, it was like they got bored.
Yeah, it was like they forgot, and then they were like, "Oh, we best do some more."
There were long stretches where
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah, and I can kind of understand it with the dialogue scenes and the stuff in the interview room and all that stuff. But the one big moment that I missed was actually at the end of that scene when they get T-boned into the river.
Yeah, where was
It's
that?
just like there wasn't even. There was very little. It was a kind of bit of a shake. So that could have been a big sideways jolt. You know.
Even when they were sat in the train, it just kind of just nods and things. There was lots of little bits like that where they could have done it, but there was a few bits like that where the film kind of forgot its gimmicks, and the D-box kind of went along with it.
That's
where,
true.
Where all the needle drops stopped after a little while, and you had less, like you said about no music in that scene.
Yeah.
It was very front-loaded and very back-loaded with like, here's music, everyone.
Yeah.
And then in the middle it forgot that, and it forgot that like spray can thing.
It did
And then
it until right at the end.
It did one
at
of
the
those,
end.
yeah.
You're right. That's true. That was a lot of intro stuff.
There was loads at the start, and then there was one which said East Berlin. I was like, oh, they're still doing that.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that said Linden.
Right. Cause I thought when they stopped doing it, I kind of thought, well, okay, that was just an intro thing.
Yeah.
That was just we're getting the movie started. Here's some fun 80s spray paint.
Yeah.
Enjoy. I love that there was breakdancing in it as well. Shit breakdancing.
That like scraped his leg.
Yeah. That was great.
It's just like, don't dance for me, and he just kind of fucked it up. He was like, oh, very good.
Yeah. That was fun. I mean, the soundtrack was great, actually.
It was a great soundtrack. I just thought it was weird how they well, there was a few bits where they'd have music in the background, but the really heavy, sort of almost blunt ones stopped, which was good because it worked for the film. And then when London Calling played towards the end, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, that doesn't really. Oh, you're back to that. Okay, I get what you do.
Well, it also kind of it's a 70s song in my mind as well.
Yeah, it's not like 90, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's exactly. It's not 1919. It's certainly not like the heavy 80s, like Blue Monday stuff that they had going on for a good portion of the movie. I mean, I thought they used the soundtrack fairly well, but I don't know. It was I got it. There was quite, and I don't dislike the original score stuff, but there was quite a jarring style difference.
Fair, yeah, because it was a lot of pop, even when it was being very violent. It was always pop. Apart from when it did its sad version of 99 Love Balloons.
Oh, the Dido 99 Love Balloons?
Well, yeah, I was thinking London Grammar, but yeah, whoever did
I don't know who that is, but okay.
the sad modern smoky music.
It sounded like Dido to me, and it made me giggle, actually. It was, and it was a very serious scene, and that just took me right out of it. It was my complaint.
But it was a melancholy version of the song.
It
You
was
were supposed
the
to feel
bummer version.
sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it sounded like Dido was singing it.
Fair enough, good old Dido.
Yeah.
What Dido does this?
I don't know. Cash his royalty checks.
Oh, absolutely. For adverts and things.
Yeah. Sitcoms. Gilmore Girls, probably.
It's on Netflix. You can get it on checks.
You know, 50 Drifters and
Easy, Chief. Oh, look at that.
yeah, but so I really liked the way the film looked. It was kind of had this drab Eastern European feel to it for a large part of it, but then also like bright 80s neon looks.
Yeah, occasional spikes of lighting and
Like
weird things.
Her hotel room was like just the most 80s room in the world.
Yeah, it
was fantastic.
I just kept thinking like, no room looks like that.
No,
hotel looked like that.
Blue neon and like that with the wallpaper and everything, and that kind of funny angular lamp and stuff.
Yeah.
It was great, and the bed was ridiculous.
Is MI6 paying for this? I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
Put you in the.
I like Till Schweiger's little watch shop.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, why are you seeing it?
Yeah.
And then that's why. And that was all he really did.
Yeah, he just kind of sat there with his funny glasses on, didn't he? Yeah.
Because it cast him, and I thought, oh, you're going to do something more with him.
Yeah.
And he really did.
Am I remembering Till Schweiger right? Was he in a Bond movie as like a bad guy with blonde hair?
No, you're thinking of someone else. You're thinking of Mr. Stamper from
I am.
Tomorrow Never Dies. That was
you're
just
right,
some like male model.
Oh, okay. All right. What else was in Till Schweiger in it for? I don't know, because I know the name and I'm like, I like him.
He's been in a lot of things. He was in King Kong.
Oh, okay,
He was a submarine captain in one of like K-19 Widowmakers.
Oh, okay.
Probably not that. No, I don't think it was.
It was either that one or whatever the Kursk one was.
Yeah, he's done some shitty horror movies and stuff. He's done quite a lot.
Yeah, no, it's quite good. He's got kind of an emotive face. I like it.
Yeah. But I was surprised they didn't do more with him in that. Actually, when his name came out, I was like, oh, I didn't know he was in it.
No, I thought that he was going to be like some kind of agent of sorts.
Yeah, like Ethan Hawke in Valerian earlier on. I didn't know he was going to be in that either.
It's news to me that he was.
Well, he was Rihanna's like club.
Was that Ethan Hawke?
That was Ethan Hawke.
I thought that was fucking the Sugar Ray guy.
Which guy?
The lead singer from Sugar Ray.
Oh right, okay.
I was like, is that the lead singer from Sugar Ray? Mark Maguire, I think his name was.
No, it was Ethan.
It was Ethan Hawke. Oh, okay, all right. Never mind then.
With his nose ring and his weird makeup. I'm just trying to think what else we're going to talk about in this one. Met my expectations. Very, very happy with them. What else we got?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about the plot? I mean, it was a fairly classic Cold War espionage type plot.
Yeah, well, the kickoff for it was like Mission Impossible and a number of Bond films. Like, all our agents are gone, or whatever, or all our agents are compromised. Let's fucking sort it out.
Yeah, that was a good use of the D-box when he gets through that locked gate, just getting through the gap, and then gets peacemakered by the.
But that's the thing.
By the
car,
Mercedes,
yeah, of course. The thing at the start with the other agent, and then
Bryan Cranston.
by Bryan Cranston, and there were a few bits in the story where she's telling it, and it was like the Valerian thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, so we're setting things up for. Wait, what? Hang on a minute, she can't know some of this.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, is she? Because at one point early on, you had a flashback within a flashback.
You did.
Which was just
true.
like, oh, okay.
You did,
this is her being sent on the mission from the debriefing, from like, oh, okay. And
it's like,
but then you'd have bits like you'd see certain things that because like, how did you feel about the way they set up Satchel? Like, who is Satchel? Like, it kind of led you to believe it was McAvoy.
Yeah, McAvoy. Yeah. I mean, that was what I thought from the get-go. But I thought, well, this is like in Murder She Wrote when they have the obvious killer.
Yes.
I'm pleased that I've referenced Murder She Wrote twice today.
Good old
where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's far too obvious. It can't be that person because we're supposed to think it is.
Right.
Was what I was thinking. But then my mind went straight to we're going to break out of this interview scene with Toby Jones and John Goodman, and Toby Jones is going to be Satchel.
Well, I was wondering that. There was a
He's going
point...
to be like a badass.
There was a point later on where, I was either like, oh, so it's... Because it was almost like my Valerian thing where you were like, no, it's going to undercut it, it's going to be something else. And I was thinking like, oh, so they want you to think it's McAvoy, so it's probably... Wait, is it Theron? No, wait, it was her boyfriend earlier on. No, wait, it's Sophia Botella. No, wait. It's still... No, wait. It's Toby Jones.
John Goodman.
It's the guy behind the glass. It's going to be the guy behind the glass.
Yeah, C or whatever, yeah.
And then I was like, no, I don't think this film's going to tell us who it is. It's just going to leave us utterly confused.
Yes.
It was like again, usual suspects, Who's Kaiser Soze thing.
Sure, Kevin Spacey starts walking normal.
Yeah, but then there's a great cartoon that was in, I think, Empire in the early 2000s, where it was like the one scene after it ends, and Kevin Spacey gets in the car with Pete Postlewaite's character, and Pete Postlewaite turns to him and goes, "So you're Kaiser Soze then?" And Verbal Kint goes back, "No, I thought you were." And that was
Excellent.
like the
Credits.
the extra bit.
Excellent.
So, so I wondered if it was going to do that, whether it was just going to get hyper confusing. Wherever it went, I was along for the ride. So,
yeah, I thought it was really fun. Not for everyone, I don't think, because it is pretty damn violent.
Yeah.
That last fight scene in particular in the building where she's trying to get Spyglass out, it gets really rough.
The big last one, not the one in the hotel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. The big last one. Yeah, that's not the very last scene, but that very last scene where she kills all the Russians kind of felt like an epilogue almost.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, that's what I want to make sure which one.
I was hoping epilogue would come up in spray paint.
Yeah, epilogue. Chapter 2.
Yeah.
It's it was relentlessly brutal, and I kind of dug that, like improvised weapons, found weapons, whatever.
Yeah, the corkscrew.
The
in particular
corkscrew.
was brutal.
She scrapes back in, and then when he's back again, like Michael Myers.
Seriously,
outside.
It's like what's the other? What's her name in Misery?
Oh, Kathy
just
Bates.
won't stay down.
Yeah. Just keeps coming. Maybe she was Satchel.
Yeah, she was like in deep cover, that was her safe house.
Yeah, Misery Satchel.
Misery Satchel. That's like an emo band.
Yeah, Misery Satchel.
Misery Satchel. This one is Pain Space.
Pain Space. Pain Book. They're all just based on the social networks.
Yeah, Painstagram. This is Cryspace.
Misery Satchel. This episode is brought to you by Misery Satchel.
Wait, bounce.
Wait, fuck Misery Satchel.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good. I'm glad that it's probably our episode title as well.
Yeah.
Fuck Misery Satchel.
Yes.
Well, okay, so in terms of Valerian, because I didn't think we were having... there was a point, actually, where I was really being stupid, like, they're going to kill her. And it was like, no, wait, we're being told this from the future she's alive.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But again, it could have broken out of that the time catches up with that point.
What was I saying? So, yeah, we've had two potential franchises here, because at the end, in theory, has she defected to the US, or do you think she was working for all three?
I think that she hasn't defected to the US, she was American all along.
Right, she was working for the CIA.
Because she breaks her accent.
Oh, did her accent break?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't really...
Yeah, and there's let's go home. So yeah, she's American, an American.
So
she's like a triple agent.
Intentional, yeah. So I wonder if McAvoy knew that. Yeah, so she was working the British and the things for the Americans. Right, very good.
Yes.
Good. So now we potentially have female James Bond 90s franchise.
We do, yeah.
So would you watch another one?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Nice.
all the way.
I hope, I don't know how well it's doing. I think it's doing pretty well.
Good.
For an R.
Right, and like a heavy R as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like it's a...
It's not doing Deadpool money, but...
Sure, yeah.
But very few things are. So I'd be up for doing more of that. I noticed at the end it came up and it said like codenamed Colder City, which is kind of like, okay, so you've intentionally at the end given it a subtitle. So if you do Atomic Blonde something else, the first one becomes Atomic Blonde: The Colder City.
True. That was also the name of the production company.
It was the name of the comic book as well.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was a Colder City movie. So.
Yeah, but I like the fact that it said, because you could do that with each one. You could just call it Atomic Blonde,
yeah.
a Comic Blonde.
A Comic Blonde.
And
Colder City.
And then, codename, whatever you want to call it at the
Sure,
end.
sure.
Just do whatever. And then you can just have an atomic blonde every couple of years. I would be so up for that.
Me too. Yeah. What would they do next? Do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure how many of these comics there are, or how many graphic novels or whatever there are to go along.
Oh, that's true. But I'm thinking if they kind of like
Just do whatever they want.
Whatever we want. What's the next point in time that they've got something interesting to do? Because end of the Cold War is fascinating, but where do you go next? Do you go to like I don't know, Baghdad, and do
Or the Gulf War?
the original Gulf War type situation? But I mean, she's not going to blend in too well in Baghdad, is she?
Do want to, that's fair. You do want to keep each one of them vaguely centered like that, I suppose,
Yeah.
because it works so well for that one. And if you're looking for a formula for them,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing saying you have to center it around a world event, but given the fact that this one was centered around the fall of the Berlin Wall,
and so
makes
heavily
sense.
almost.
Yeah. Even to the point of like it's at the start it comes up and it's got that little there's that little dialogue, or the text rather at the start, and it says in 1989 the Berlin Wall fell, and this is not this story. There's a spray paint, like a diagonal spray paint of it. But it's around that story, it's at the same, it's told in parallel to that happening.
I'm trying to think. There must be so many, so many kind of 90s events like that you could do, but I can't really think of any.
Well, yeah, the 90s was a period of relative peace, but there was still shit going on in the world. So
And there's probably more espionage stuff than
like Serbia, maybe like this, I mean, the Bosnia-Serbia thing is pretty heavy, but I mean, it's not like it's a light movie anyway.
There's probably a way to do something with most things. I just can't think of anything now.
No.
But I'm sure people are hard at work on it even now.
I do hope so.
Because if they're not, then
Well, screw 'em.
then
We need to write it.
call us. Charlie's Theron, call me.
It's the Renaissance.
Theronaissance. I'm so into this Charlie's Theronaissance as well,
Absolutely.
Like this weird kind of like, I don't know if she's changed an agent or something, but it's like, I'm going to do a Fast and Furious. I'm going to do an Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, nice. Go and be that action chick.
Absolutely.
And she's bloody rocking
She
it
does
as well.
a fabulous job with it. She really does.
I'm sad they killed Sophia Botella.
I am too.
Because I thought that was a character you can do more with.
Yeah, you could absolutely. That could be like, who's the character that shows up, the American agent who shows up in the James Bond films every so often?
Felix Leiter.
Yeah. You could do some sort of thing, like she's in Cuba and all of a sudden...
Smoking and...
Yeah.
Listening to shit music.
Yeah.
It was weird, like...
Lots of smoking in the movie.
Lots of smoking. I should think there was a thing at the end there which said no one received any...
like tobacco money.
Yeah, tobacco money for this kind of thing.
Yeah, because I noticed they did represent a bunch of tobacco brands.
Oh, did I?
I saw a Marlboro packet and I saw a Vest packet.
Okay.
And the only reason I know Vest is cigarettes is because they sponsored the McLaren Formula One team in the mid to late 90s. After they lost the Marlboro sponsorship to Ferrari.
Nice. Tremendous.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't put that on the end. Maybe they did receive a load of money for it.
Maybe.
It could be classified as European production. I doubt they have the same laws.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think that's true. Actually.
No, I think
very much a blanket thing.
Well, I think Europe's actually stronger on it as well.
Probably.
That was where it was in like France and Germany, where going back to Formula One, was when Formula One still was primarily tobacco sponsorship. Those were the first races where it was banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was because it held on with if I'm remembering my history right, it held on the British for a couple of years after like it disappeared from the French and German.
Wow.
Yeah, and they would do like clever things. Like it was the logo. Like actually, one of the cleverest things that Ferrari did was they put a barcode on. It was the Marlboro barcode
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice side
on the
way
rear
of-
wing. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to get away from it, but still kind of.
Yeah.
It's a bit random. But it's kind of cool.
Just leave the triangle on there as well sometimes.
I think I remember that with the triangle, just having a red thing and just like iconic visual indicators without.
Did you ever see? Yeah, sorry to interrupt. But do you remember seeing in the 90s or early 2000s there was Coca-Cola was so like confident with their brand that they did an ad that was just a red background and then half of the dynamic ribbon is what they call it, the Coca-Cola logo on the bottom. It was just half of it. That was all the ad was.
I think I do remember.
Yeah, I was like, that's because everyone knew what it was. That's like the ad men going, yeah. We got you.
You know it. You know what it is.
You know we got you.
We don't need to. No.
Yeah.
We did. You know.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell. Fucking drink. Fucking drink it.
Drink it, okay.
Just drink it in, man.
So back to Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde.
Any performances that you that stood out, good or bad? What do you think of McAvoy?
McAvoy,
the same thing in
he
a
does
lot of things.
most of the same things. He's pretty good in this doing his
I
kind of
enjoyed
like...
it, yeah. Kind of psychopathic.
Yeah. And his weird, like she called him on at the, like this hungover, incompetent act.
Sure, yeah, there's that one moment where he wakes up, he's late to pick her up from the airport.
Oh, with the two chicks
two
or
chicks in
whatever,
bed, yeah. And that apartment looks, they got the style of that apartment so down.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in like my mom's friends' flats when I was a kid, and that's exactly what they
Sleep
looked
in
like.
bed with two chicks.
Well, it was an interesting childhood.
Right. Good for you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
So he was doing his thing, and he sometimes grates a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually in the X-Men ones, because they're not very good.
Yeah.
He was alright in this, Thrum's great in this, Goodman was great in this.
Yep.
Sophia Boutella, I'm surprised that there was no massive action sequence with her, considering what she can do.
Sure, that's true.
But it was nice to see her just kind of doing an acting role and emoting and bits and pieces.
And she was, and it was an interesting character for her as well, because the whole out of her depth thing really came to fruition in the end. You know?
Yeah.
Because if you're getting ready to bug out of a city, I don't think you should be really dancing around your apartment with your headphones on.
Both your headphones on. Like, come on, you're a spy.
Exactly. Yeah. At least have one off.
Yeah, so you can hear the creeper coming in to kill you.
It's not like it's a stereo Walkman anyway.
Yeah.
It's true. It's mono. So.
You? Anything?
No, I actually really enjoyed all the performances, I think. I don't think there was anyone who I was like, nah, stop it, or anything like that. Sometimes I get that with films where I'm like, you're ruining it, stop, please, go away, get off screen. And there was no one in that. I recognised the guy who played Spyglass.
Eddie Marsan.
What do I know him
He's
from?
been in a
He's
lot
been
of
in
things
tons
as well.
He's like kind of like
little British actor.
Yeah, he's like dweeby guy in a lot of stuff.
It was interesting to see him doing his German thing and with the stick-on moustache and everything, and then but he carried a lot of almost the weight of the world with him, and I thought that worked quite well.
He did, yeah. You could kind of see the knowledge that he had was there. You could see he was carrying it around with him. That's a good description.
Years on his face.
Good. Yeah. And even after, and I love how it looked really awkward when they put him in, when they shaved his moustache and put him in the different clothes.
Yeah.
He
looked like you're a free man, and he took off his glasses.
Yeah, it's like, but like took him off slowly and like didn't move most of his body. He just kind of had this stiff.
What does a free man look like?
Yeah,
like, he has no idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
I liked all that. I liked how have we discussed gear crunches when the stories
I don't think so.
sort of intentionally almost just stutter and stop and delay.
No.
Like, okay, so gear crunch, it's a thing from Argo. Me and Luke came up with it where there's a bit where they're building tension at the end, and for some reason a driver of a bus just crunches the gears.
Okay.
And it's just the idea that the police are getting a bit closer, and you crunch the gears, and it's like, oh, they're going to get closer because the bus driver can't
he missed a gear,
and it's so ugh. And there was a gear crunch in that where I thought they were like, oh, they can't get him out of the car, and it's just like, stop stalling, this doesn't work, and then they just fucking killed him. I was like, oh, touche. That wasn't a gear crunch at all. You were murdering the bastard.
Well, I mean, and that reminds me of a point I meant to bring up. If Charlize Theron really was Satchel, why the hell did James McAvoy shoot Spyglass?
He said he couldn't trust him with her.
Oh.
Because he knew by that point that she was Satchel, because he looked on his sweet little individual monthly thing.
Yeah. Okay, so he thought that she was going to, like, either kill him, which
she could do whatever with that knowledge at that point.
Yeah, okay. You take it to Moscow or whatever.
Yeah, though in theory the Russians potentially already had that if... because he was trying to sell it, wasn't he?
Yes.
But yeah, that was why... But that was one of the things where you saw him shoot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, is that going to be a fake memory? Because she hasn't seen that. She doesn't know that he shot him. And that was a little thing where you've got someone telling a story, you can only have what they know.
That's a very good point.
And that's where the Valerian thing worked more for me, where it was a straight line where we knew stuff, but the characters didn't.
Yeah.
But in this, the characters kind of knew stuff that they couldn't. But they were showing us stuff from the characters.
Yeah. Well, then there are several moments like that then, because she the whole scene, the end scene where Sophia Boutella, is that her name, gets killed, and when he wakes up in bed with the two chicks, and there's tons of stuff like that. If you kind of being strict adherent to it only being stuff in her memory.
Yeah. Which I guess
it plays.
You
with
could
it a
say
little
it
bit, takes
dances
license.
in and out of, but
Yeah.
it did appear most of the time to be a told thing, and that's the only problem I have with it, is that it's just you can't have your cake and eat it on some of that stuff. But they did, and you know, to be honest, I'm going to forgive it for it because it was great. But
Yeah, and I mean that's another point. The problem I have sometimes with these sorts of retrospectively told tales like that, where that's the narrative structure, is the stakes kind of disappear.
yeah,
But they didn't for me. I forgot that it was being retold.
We both thought she was
like
gonna
you said,
die.
I was thinking she was going to die, and then it's like at the end of the film, you're like, no. But that was when I thought, when the epilogue was coming, I thought maybe that might be.
it's going to pull the rest. She's dead all along. No sequels.
Yeah, but there's no they're going to kill her because this does have the potential to be a great franchise. I think.
I think so. I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to check out the graphic novel down the line and see if there's any more and such things.
Yeah.
So because I was into it and I'm still into it and I'll probably see it again.
Cool.
Not in D-Box.
Not in D-Box. No, D-Box was disappointing box.
It
wasn't
that's
terrible.
what it stands for.
It wasn't. It actually wasn't that terrible. It was just. It wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be.
It was, but in patches.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just
it
needed
wasn't
more.
consistent enough, yeah.
It needed to be a little bit used a bit more here and there. Because I crossed my legs and sat on it for a while. And I almost
Yeah, I did too. That's why I
slid
did
out
the
the
start.
chair.
Yeah. I wonder what they. I wonder how the technology works as well.
I think I read about it a while ago, and I think someone programs a separate track,
Yeah.
and it has a
It's
track
in sync with the file
that
that's
it's-
being played.
Yeah, I think you have almost a D-Box DCP of it, and it plays that through too, and it just
It just
that
sends a
information goes out into the system, and it just
Gotcha.
here and there. I remember reading about it, but I can't remember how they do it. But it's different things for different motions or something. Because I think I read about that and read about the 4DX thing where it farts out
Yeah.
smells and,
Yeah, and
snow and rain and all sorts.
Sure.
And it's just literally another track that someone goes through and programs. But maybe that's it. Maybe they do them. I mean, God knows how much time they have to spend on that, because how many D-Boxes are there? Maybe they're just like that bit.
Oh, I mean, how many movies with D-Box there are there?
Or how many movies and how many cinemas and how many
Well, if it's
a chance for each one of those to play in it.
Oh, good point.
Like
yeah,
how
I
much
see what you mean. I see what you mean.
percentage of time is devoted to that if they're trying to finish
If
the
there are only a handful of cinemas in each state with
yeah, and they're going to get a week each or whatever, so it's just like, mind you,
Yeah.
it wasn't a whole cinema, was it? It was two rows. Two rows of the screen we were in.
2 rows in what, like a 30-row
Yeah, probably quite a big
auditorium?
screen.
Yeah, with like 7 other people in it or something.
Yeah, it wasn't busy.
But it's Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. So,
Thursday afternoon. But yeah, no, I don't think I'd be racing to see. I'm glad that we did it in D-Box.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not sure I'd be racing to see something else in it unless it was all action, maybe, and then it would throw you really.
Like
throw you
Valerian,
around.
I think probably would have been great
yeah, it
in
might have been
D-Box.
actually, yeah. They do as you go along that pipe, and they're just a dead stop when they go to talk.
Yeah,
There's
it's
the pipe.
just constantly going
Yeah.
basically until there are static scenes,
Yeah, just static scenes in the office.
and even then like something goes past and it goes. Phew.
Yeah. I forget what there was. There was one where it just kind of went around a little bit, and I was.
Oh yeah, it was when she pulled the gun out, wasn't it?
Was
That
it?
was one moment right at the end where she pulls the gun out of the icebox. We kind of went up with the gun.
right,
That was
okay.
pretty fun.
But you could have just, like you were saying, there's so much more. There was a bit where she dropped. Was it when she woke up when she got out of the bath in London, or if she dropped ice into a thing, and I just wanted to go like, ding, 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 like with
Yeah, it
the
would have
ice.
been nice, like just a thunk thunk thunk.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I just wonder how much time they really devote to creating those sort of tie-in things, and it's just like, all right, just hit the big scenes.
Yeah,
And then we'll do that. And then
but
it's
then
fine.
they missed a giant moment.
Well, that's true.
Still with that T-bone that I mentioned before. That should have been
Yeah.
because it can do fairly good lateral motion, and that would have been a really good moment because it came out of nowhere. I liked how it was from her perspective. It was from the point of view of Theranosance,
Charlie Renaissance.
and what's his face Spyglass was looking towards us, and we just saw it come in the background. I mean, not the first time that's been done, but I liked it.
Yeah, no, it was good, and well, that's what made me think because of the shot of it was from inside the car. I wondered originally, like, if they hadn't got all that sweet second unit footage of that car flip, if the the one shot was supposed to go all the way to the end there,
Oh yeah.
and then you're like, okay, we're fine, it's going to be all right, and then wham! And
When
then,
the truck T-boned the police guy you're talking about,
Yeah.
which was a bit weak in my mind because the truck kind of just
what shot are you talking about? Sorry.
when they're being chased, the second unit shot footage I thought you were talking about was the car that's following them gets T-boned by a truck.
Oh yeah, and that's the one you wanted in D-Box.
No.
Oh, right.
I wanted the D-Box when we're seeing it from her perspective, and it goes into the river.
Oh, that's what. So I was thinking the same thing. Sorry,
I just thought that
I confused myself there.
Yeah, that shot of the car behind them being flipped was a little weak.
Yeah,
Because the truck was completely undamaged and going quite slowly, and you could see the nitrogen from the nitrogen cannon.
Oh, I didn't.
Big puff of nitrogen.
But then they showed all the shots of the other car flipping and everything, and you just kind of like, oh, well, that's just because the axle came off. All
It
this
did,
stuff.
yeah.
And it was just like, okay. And then they went back to it, and I was like, I wonder if they just got that because they got that, and that was what broke the Wanner because money.
Yeah.
But I did wonder if it was meant to go all the way to the river. But then there was a few shots where, they were hiding cuts and it span around. And there was one weird, it has that feel of a computer-controlled shot where it started in the back seat and came around Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
And then it pointed through the back and it felt a bit green screen, this stuff that they were shooting back at. So I didn't know whether it was all... I don't know, it maybe some of that stuff wasn't as easy to get or as good as maybe they thought.
No,
it might be an idea.
Could be.
Just because there was a few... Mind you, compared to Valerian, there was one visual effects company, so
True.
so they probably had quite a lot to do, I would think.
I would imagine so.
Painting
Yeah.
the sound towers, and whatever else you got.
Yeah,
to do.
because that was actually one thing that was a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't say jarring, but kind of made me go at the start. Was after the dude gets peacemakered by the car, the background above the wall where the river is. Just felt a bit matte painting-y.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't terrible, but it just felt a bit.
Yeah, it had that
unreal.
kind of glow to it. Actually,
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
You're right. There was a few bits with the hey, let's cut to nothing dynamic happening in a little while. Let's cut to a time lapse of the streets.
Yeah.
And I kept looking for modern cars.
I looked for modern. The only time I think I saw modern cars was in the background of a shot very early in the movie when she's in the back of the car and the KGB have got her.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw some modern shapes in the background there.
The Tesla.
I think.
The DeLorean.
It's a BMW i8.
Right.
No, I thought I saw some kind of 90s or 2000s looking cars.
One thing I
There's a
spotted...
van in the background that I was like, not sure that was around in 89.
When they came through the border the one time, I thought there was a Hummer set to one side, which
Yeah.
wouldn't have been a thing then, would it?
Yeah.
Was the Hummer... When did the Hummer come in?
I think the Hummer's been around since the early 80s.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't think it was... Because to me, it's like the Hummer is like a 90s thing.
Right. Maybe it's mid to late 90s. I'll look it up.
I will.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just that... So I saw that and was just like, oh...
Drove past the wall a couple of times as well, and then Willie's Jeep drove past as well.
Yeah, I like the Willys Duke things, but...
No, but what I'm saying is there was a mix of them driving past the wall,
Right.
So I'm thinking it's time appropriate because
If they had them in multiple wars.
right before the Gulf War, and I think then to me they're a big.
Oh, yeah, maybe
War,
that's when I first noticed them, actually. So, yeah, they could have just been there. And...
Maybe they were pretty new, but.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually.
I also spotted an AMC Pacer outside of the airport.
Ooh.
I kind of did this at one point, and then when she was first picked up at the airport, there was an AMC Pacer parked in front, like the car that Wayne and Garth had in Wayne's World, yeah.
Goblin.
Gremlin.
Goblin, that's a Hoover, isn't it?
Yes.
He used to make Hoovers. Oh, shit.
Loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved both of them, actually. I'm so glad today went the way it went.
Me too.
Considering this could have been both of us just being like, oh, I'm so bad, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Which, did you prefer your one or did you prefer my one?
I preferred your one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I preferred the visual style of my one, but there were just a few disappointments that led me to kind of like enjoy Atomic Blonde a bit more. For some reason in Valerian, a couple of the fight scenes just felt quite flat to me, and I think there
was one that was really slow.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't you speed some of this up? It was where Delavigne took out her two guards where she's like, well, you should really put me in cuffs because I really want to escape.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to trick you or anything. Here, look. And then it just...
punch. It's like it's from the original Star Wars, you know?
Yeah. And then there was a flip where it was just like, have they slowed that down?
Yeah.
Like, no one should flip that. They've got momentum. They're a body.
Well, and some of the dialogue delivery during... We're going back to Valerian, but never mind. Some of the dialogue delivery during the action scenes, so particularly in the scene where they steal the jellyfish
Okay.
with the submarine,
It's not its mouth.
yeah, the dialogue... That was funny. Yeah. The dialogue was delivered in a really kind of flat way that felt like it was so separate from the exciting CG action that was going on.
Okay.
And then that happened a couple of times. And I think what they were going for, and not that scene so much, but in other fight scenes where that was happening, was was the whole like, oh, we're fighting, but we're quipping too, and it just didn't quite work.
We're snarky, but we're sincere, but we're not. Huh?
Yeah.
I would say that yours was more consistent to its world than mine was.
Okay, yeah.
But I
can see that.
preferred mine because I'm Ace.
Okay.
And if you want to see a film, you should go and see a film that I tell you to go and see. But I'm not going to tell you to go and
Because
see
you don't recommend
because
films.
I don't do that.
Mark wins.
Mark wins! This episode, in the first GAMFT cinema off,
Mark
Mark
wins.
wins.
Excellent.
Right.
Marvellous.
I suppose.
All right.
Can't get better than that.
Nope.
I wish I called it the first great GAMFT cinema off.
You got a chance. I'm still recording.
The first great GAMFT cinema off! I don't know, I'm not going to take the time to cut that in.
So thanks for listening to the first episode of GAMFT Live. I'm hoping we're going to get to do this again sometime. Not least because it means that I will either be visiting Sir in the UK or Sir will be visiting me here in the US. So hopefully we get to do that again, because it was a fun format, and even though the quality wasn't quite what we like to provide, it was still a really fun experience to do. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.